I'd like to talk a little bit about the word sustainability because it's one of the most abused words in the English language right now. Using the word wipes away all the sins of reality for those willing to look away when the word is used. Let's take the ranchers out in Point Reyes, for example. These dairies are so sustainable that sharing any grass with the native wildlife has the ranchers crying that the very survival of their businesses is being threatened. Every blade of grass is required for the cattle. No room for wildlife, lest the businesses collapse. I'd say that's not a great start for arguing sustainability, when you argue the native wildlife have to be killed just for your business to get by. But adding insult to injury is the fact that the ranchers overstock their cattle, exceeding the animal units allowed per their lease agreements. The land is saturated with cattle. You are blessed if you see an elk, and it would be a miracle not to see a cow. It's hard to say how many exactly, since it's been documented that the actual number is more than the official number, but it's somewhere around 6,000, each and every one of which weighs roughly 1,000 pounds more than each elk and consumes 6 times the resources of each elk. So how many elk are we talking about? Well, a little over 200 of the free-ranging ones, with a little over 100 being on competing pastoral lands. But we need to kill those elk to save an industry so sustainable that it's barely getting by because of foraging wildlife. Number 2, the dairies are so sustainable that baby cows can't have their own mother's milk. Best case scenario, the baby stays with the mom for 72 hours before being put in isolation. Because this sustainable business can't spare any of that mother's milk to go to the baby it was intended for by nature, which is why they're in isolation. Because they are deprived of the disease-fighting nutrients their mother's milk would have provided for them. Or maybe it's the dairy industry just having a little extra fun. Taking babies from their mothers wasn't enough. They had to put them in complete isolation without any companionship whatsoever from any animal, as babies. In an industry this messed up, it's hard to say. Number 3, this industry is so sustainable that even with the land being leased to them at a fraction of the market value, they are still supposedly struggling. And they still need to seek financial help from organizations such as the Starving Farmers. Number 4, this industry is so sustainable that the cattle have to be overfed and made to overproduce the amount of milk that they would naturally produce just to get by. Interesting how such a sustainable practice requires overproduction just to get by. The price of this overproduction is the desolated body of a cow sent to slaughter early in life after perpetually being pregnant, having her babies taken away, getting pregnant again, having her babies taken away, and all the time producing way more milk than she should. Number 5, yes, that's right, we're not done, not even close. The cattle not only need all of that grazing land to themselves, but they also require additional feed in order to produce the amount of milk this industry is demanding. Therefore, huge swaths of the natural habitat are replaced with silage fields, non-native annual plants grown just to feed more cattle. As an added bonus, nesting birds and other small creatures are chopped up in the mowing blades each spring, coinciding with their births and the harvest. And yet we still aren't done. In addition to all of that, tons of hay, literally tons of hay, are imported into the national seashore as even more food for these cows. And after all that, these businesses still require subsidies, leaving me with one question. What could be less sustainable? The way we rape the ocean or burn down the Amazon for beef? Congratulations then, you come in third of all time horrific, unsustainable industries.